Oh man, this video is perfect right now because on the way back from Colombia on the plane, there was like this family of missionaries, and it was just two adults, and they had like 6 kids, and the 6 kids were just like, well, 2 of them couldn't be annoying because they were like infants, but 2 were just like running around and stuff and dropping stuff all the time. And there was a period where the pilot was like, "Hey, don't get up for the next 20 minutes. There's going to be turbulence." And like 30 seconds after that announcement, the dad just like let the kid hop around and run around the aisle, and they were just like, sir, you're kids. And he was just like not even like doing what he needed to do. I've never wanted, listen, I would never, ever want to see a child be harmed because children are innocent to me, right? They don't know any better. But in that moment, I was kind of thinking like, I'm going to need this kid to like trip and fall. I'm going to need like a minor head injury here, okay? Because these missionaries, bro. Anyways, an American tourist sailed to North Sentinel and ended badly. I believe this is about the guy that was a missionary.
On the 15th of November 2018, John Allen Chow took a boat to North Sentinel Island expecting a peaceful welcome. He never made it back home.
Why would you expect that?
Before we talk about who he was, what he was doing, and how he came to meet his fate, let's first talk about the island itself. Located in the Bay of Bengal between India and Thailand, North Sentinel Island measures 6 kilometers wide, 8 kilometers long, and is home to one of the last uncontacted tribes on all of planet Earth. The tribe is known to outsiders as the Sentinel, who have an estimated population of between 15 and 500 people.
Between 15 and 500. I'm surprised America hasn't found some way to just like, they haven't found some resource on that island worthy enough of just wiping out everyone there.
Taking an accurate measurement is almost
not that I condone that behavior, it's just shocking.
Hostile to anybody who tries to visit the island. The first example of this came in 1867 when an Indian merchant ship wrecked on the island's reef, and while the 106 passengers might have thought that they'd stumbled upon paradise, this couldn't have been further from the truth. Without warning, the ship's crew were attacked by the tribe's bow and arrows, and were only able to survive by returning fire with sticks and stones found on the beach. They were rescued by a British steamboat 1 week later, yet the captain of the shipwreck went on to describe the Sentinelese by writing, "The savages were perfectly naked with short hair and red painted noses, and were opening their mouth and making sounds like pa on oh. Their arrows appeared to be tipped with iron." The intriguing nature of the tribe led a party of armed British officials to
do you guys think that's just like, it seems like that is insane to think about. Like, we have people talking about exploring the ocean, people talking about exploring space, and then we have an island on planet Earth with people that have just like absolutely no contact with the modern world. They're still using bows and arrows, sticks and stones. They have no clue about the existence. It almost seems nice. They have no clue about the existence of phones, about my YouTube channel, unfortunately. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. But I mean, props to them. I think that they should continue to remain, like, the idea that that can still be a possibility without us, like, the idea of trying to show them social media would probably ruin their lives. They'd probably see all the complaining and be like, oh, I used to have to hunt my food with a stick, with a pointy stick, but, you know, Rebecca said that McDonald's took too long today, or there were too many people of color in the new Spider-Man movie. I've got to write a synopsis, or maybe there weren't enough. People are complaining about everything. There's too much diversity. There's not enough. There's too much this. There's too much that. I just hunted down some food with a rock. There's levels, you know?
Returned 13 years later in 1880, at which point they'd find, quote, a network of pathways and several small villages that looked to have been freshly abandoned. They'd eventually find 4 Sentinelese children, as well as an elderly couple, who were kidnapped by the party and taken back to the nearby city of Port Blair. However, their stay didn't last very long, as all 6 Sentinelese sickened rapidly and the old man and his wife died, so the 4 children were sent back to their home with quantities of presents. 16 years after this, a Hindu convict escaped on a makeshift raft from the adjacent Great Andaman Island, only to wash up 50 kilometers west in the worst place imaginable, North Sentinel. A search party found his body lying on the beach pierced with iron arrows, with his death sending a clear enough message for nobody to return to the island for almost 80 years.
Isn't that crazy? That like the first thing in their heads is just like, no, you're not here. We're immediately going to kill you. That's what seclusion like does to a person. You know what I mean? That's why we got people who are like shooting kids on doorsteps. You know what I mean?
However, in 1974,
here in the US, staying inside too much.
A documentary called Man in Search of Man landed on the island to leave gifts.
We came at last to what is known as the North Sentinel Island. Although some expeditions had landed here, the Sentinelese had never been sighted. We left gifts of coconuts, knives, lengths of cloth, a pig.
After which the Sentinelese were caught on camera for the very first time.
What are those moving shapes? Are they human?
That's so crazy, man. This is
At last,
80 years after the last
first glimpse
situation.
of the Sentinelese. This tribe believes in total isolation. It will not tolerate a stranger.
As is obvious in the footage, the tribe had no interest in making friends,
Yeah.
rather buried half of the gifts they'd been given before shooting arrows toward the film crew.
A member of our film unit was wounded by one of the many arrows.
Bro, I'm sorry, but like, does that not seem insane? Like, it almost, like, there's literally an island. Maybe I'm overthinking this, okay? But there's literally an island of people that are just like, I don't know what's going on that boat over there. All I know is I want to kill you. Do not come near me. I have sticks. I have stones. And it is genuinely impressive that some first world country hasn't been like, how can we exploit this island? We've got to get these people off the island. I need to build a resort there.
Each 2.5 meters long. He will carry this scar till his death.
If on Google Maps you zoom into the coastline on the island's northwest corner, you'll find a different boat which now acts as a permanent reminder of North Sentinel's hostility and unrecoverability. The ship going by the name of the MV Primrose had been transporting farming supplies to Australia before it wrecked on the unfortunate location in 1981. The ship's passengers were incredibly lucky because at the time, this entire area was underwater, keeping them at a safe distance while they organised their rescue. In the meantime, the Sentinelese observed the ship from their beach, with the crew members describing the tribe as well-built, frizzy-haired and black. They were naked except for narrow belts that circled their waists, and they were holding spears, bows and arrows, which they had begun waving in a manner that seemed not altogether friendly. However, while almost every example so far displays the Sentinelese as an untouchable group of brutes, it would be exactly 10 years later when a single anthropologist did the impossible. He made peaceful contact for the very first time.
Whoa.
Pandit had been dropping gifts and coconuts to the island every 1 or 2 months since 1967, although for the first 24 years of doing so, the Sentinelese maintained their hostility. But all of this changed on the 4th of January 1991, when the tribe finally concluded that he was only there to help. Pandit described this day in a 2000 interview with the American Scholar.
How was he able to kind of like relay that information?
Which stated a great many of the Sentinelese started running down the beach and splashing through the surf toward the dinghy. The director leapt from the boat into chest-high water. One of the young Sentinelese men recalled in fright and handed coconuts to the tribesmen as they crowded around him. A few weeks later, he returned to North Sentinel with another expedition. This time, several Sentinelese men went so far as to climb into the dinghy and grab entire sacks of coconuts. Pandit was alone in the water with a group of Sentinelese. One of the young tribesmen looked at him, scowled, pulled out an iron-bladed knife, and made a gesture, Pandit says, like he was going to cut out my heart. Maybe he thought I was planning to stay on the island. But the dinghy quickly returned to pick Pandit up. He would return to North Sentinel several more times before retiring from the Anthropological Survey in 1992.
Why just coconuts? I remember the other one, they said pig. I mean, I guess you can't really know what they eat, but like, are they really losing their minds over coconuts?
The interaction showed that peaceful contact with the tribe was possible, although only after a significant period of trust building, and even after T and Pandit's unique interaction, the Sentinelese retained their hostility toward any unfamiliar outsider. For example, after the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake caused the worst tsunami in recorded human history right next to North Sentinel Island, a helicopter was sent out to see if the tribe had survived from such a catastrophic event. Well, not only were the Sentinelese...
I mean, they were probably fine. If you think about it, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of the crazy stuff that happens when it comes to like tsunamis and earthquakes is just buildings getting torn down and stuff like that. Like if they could climb a tree, which I'd like to imagine they probably can, you know what I mean? You probably live. You'd probably be relatively fine. Or go high up on the island. I'm not sure if it has like a mountain.
Is somehow doing just fine, but their response to the help offered by the Indian government was to throw spears, arrows, and rocks toward the helicopter. 2 years later in 2006, 2 men aged 48 and 52 were fishing for mud crabs near the island. However, the pair got so drunk that while sleeping, the anchor of the boat, which was a rock tied to a rope, fell apart and drifted the men toward North Sentinel. The following morning, fellow fishermen said they tried to shout at the men and warn them that they were in danger. However, they did not respond. They were probably drunk, and the boat drifted into the shallows where they were attacked and killed.
That's
a government
wild.
helicopter was sent to recover the bodies. However, given the tribe's hostility, all they were able
They were
to
just
get
chilling
was
on the
this
boat?
photo, after which a 5.6 kilometer exclusion zone was enforced by the Indian government, making it illegal for anybody to visit the island.
Yeah, just leave them alone, man.
With every other
just like let them be. You know, that's like a very modern world thing, is to just not let other people be. You know what I mean? Make sure, okay, check in, make sure they're doing well. You know, it's cool to care about fellow human beings. But like, if they're like, hey, this is our island, we're going to do whatever, then just be like, you know what? It's fine. Do you.
Example so far paints a very simple picture. Do not visit North Sentinel Island under any circumstances. However, unfortunately, John Allen Chow never got the message. Born on the 18th of December 1991 in the state of Alabama, John grew up in what seemed to be a standard Christian household with two parents and two siblings. As he got older, John began to get into various outdoor activities such as camping, hiking, and kayaking, which when combined with his religious background, inspired him to become an adventure blogger and Christian missionary. On his Instagram, John displayed his trips to countless different countries, including Mexico, South Africa, and Canada, each of which being documented on his Rugged Trail website. However, there was one location that John had his sights set on, which would make all the others seem insignificant: North Sentinel. He'd grown obsessed with the idea of visiting the island during his previous trip to the Andamans in 2016, and judging from the quotes he posted to his Facebook, John seemed to have been inspired by another missionary named Jim Elliot, who was killed in the 50s whilst preaching to a native tribe in Ecuador. Although, according to the head of the mission he was working for,
what did we learn? Nothing.
John was significantly more prepared. All Chow's decisions, including his studies of sports science and training and working as a wilderness emergency medical technician, and classes he took in linguistics and cultural anthropology, were in preparation to share Jesus with the North Sentinelese.
No, what you needed was a weapon. What are you talking? Don't worry. I played a lot of sports. I can run very fast, and I know first aid. Very cool, bud.
He was very well prepared for this moment. On the 21st of October 2018, John posted this image to social media, showing that he was back in the nearby city of Port Blair, where unbeknownst to his family, he was planning his trip to what he called Satan's last stronghold, aka North.
That's Satan's last stronghold, huh? Ugh. Missionaries are just like, I don't know what it... To call it that? To call it Satan's last stronghold, dude? Ugh. Ugh.
Sentinel.
A man was killed. The dear God, dude.
2018, only 25 days after landing back in the Andamans, John began a journal to document his trip to North Sentinel, with his first entry stating that a group of fishermen had agreed to take him to the island illegally. I met last night with the fishermen who were all believers and agreed to drop
his handwriting is kind of like a 12-year-old's.
Me off. Jonathan won't be accompanying me as they will be at sea doing their regular fishing maneuvers to avoid raising suspicion, and there is a high chance that they get checked by the Indian Coast Guard. The meeting went well. I trust them, though I'm the only English speaker, so there's quite a language gap, and I'm relying on the Holy Spirit to direct us.
Oh
the
my.
was pointed out on the map as being a cove on the southwest of the island, and I depart in 3 or so hours. God, I thank you for choosing me before I was even formed in my mother's womb to be your messenger for your great news to the people of North Sentinel Island.
This doesn't sound cult-like to you, like, at all. I mean, I don't like to, like, I know that's lay epic Reddit atheism moment to be like, ugh, religion is a cult, but that doesn't sound like weirdly cultic to you.
John then explained his plan for first contact by
stating,
cultish. The plan is to link up with the crew tonight and depart tonight, arriving at the shore around 4 AM. From there, we make progressive contact with fish as gifts over the next few days and then send me off. We might even send a kayak laden with gifts towards shore. The following day, John explained that his trip to the island went as planned by writing, at 4:30 we entered the cove on the western shore, which was followed by his first attempt at contact approximately 4 hours later.
Are those actually 2018 pictures?
Large fish, around 15 pounds it felt like. I put them on top of the kayak and began rowing. 2 armed Sentinelese came rushing out yelling at me. They had 2 arrows each unstrung until they got closer. I hollered, "My name is John. I love you and Jesus loves you. Jesus Christ gave me the authority to come to you." I regret I began to panic slightly as I saw them string arrows in their bows.
It's almost like they probably don't understand English at all. He probably just thought like, well, I'm speaking through Jesus. Jesus will translate or something.
Picked up the half tuna and threw it toward them. They kept coming. I backpaddled facing them, and then when they got the fish, I turned and paddled like I never have in my life back to the boat. I felt some fear, but mainly was disappointed they didn't accept me right away. I can now say I've been nearly shot by the Sentinelese, and I've walked on and cached gear on their island. Now I'm resting on the boat and will try again later.
Do you ever think that they kind of laugh whenever people like throw stuff at them? Like they kind of like, they get all this free stuff and they're like, did you see how scared he was? Did you see how scared he was? What a bitch. and then they get back.
Escaped his first encounter unharmed. However, as mentioned in the previous entry, he planned on returning for a second encounter, which miraculously he'd survive once again. I waited my kayak toward the hut I'd been chased from on initial contact. Sure enough, as I got there, I heard the whoops and shouts from the hut. I made sure to stay out of arrow range, but unfortunately that meant I was also out of good hearing range. So I got a little closer and about 6 from what I could see yelled at me. I tried to parrot their words back to them. They burst out laughing.
Oh my god, dude. Oh man, it's that thing I always talk about whenever somebody's speaking a different language, and I always just randomly say like true, and then I'm like, no, I shouldn't say true because this guy could be saying something insane. You know, why would you repeat what they're saying back? What if they're saying, I'm gonna kill you, and then you repeat it back and they're like, you're gonna kill us. No, we're gonna kill you.
Most of the time, so they probably were saying bad words or insulting me. I yelled some phrases and sang them some worship songs and hymns, and they would often fall silent after this. Here's when this nice meet and greet went south. A child and a young woman, both with bows, came behind, and I kept waving my hands to say no bows, but they didn't get the memo, I guess. Then a little kid with bow and arrow came down the middle, and I figured this was it. So I preached a bit to them starting in Genesis, and disembarked my kayak to show them that I too have 2 legs. But the little kid shot me with an arrow directly into my Bible, which I was holding in front of my chest. I stumbled back and I recall yelling at the kid for shooting me. I had to swim almost a mile back to the boat at the mouth of...
He probably thought that was divine intervention too. You're gonna get like a story about how, no, you don't understand. I put the Bible up and it saved me. That's like that's like wearing a bulletproof vest and just be like, can you believe that? The bulletproof vest got it. Can you believe that when I put something in the way of the thing that was going to shoot me? He might not say that though, you know what I mean? But can you believe I blocked it? It blocked an arrow. I can believe that. That's a very believable thing.
The cove. The plan now is to rest and sleep on the boat. By this point, John already had an unbelievable...
By the way, I'm sorry. I know I'm being mean. I know that this is going to be a terrible story of someone dying, but there's a part of me, when it comes to missionaries, man, why can't they just leave people alone? Like, why can't they just accept that, like, with all the religions we have in the world and all the non-religious people that we have in the world who are just like agnostic, nihilistic, atheist or whatever it might be, why can't we just be like, you know what, man, it is what it is. You believe in your thing, and if your thing's right, congratulations, you go to heaven. If my thing's right, congratulations, I go to heaven. Or maybe I think when I die it's nothing. Who cares? Can we move on?
Story for the ages. He had gone to the island, survived his first day, returned on a second day, was shot by the Sentinelese point blank, but lived to tell the tale after the pages in his Bible decided to spare his life. However, as the journal entry...
If only he did take that as divine intervention. To be like, okay, you tried. You went to Satan's last stronghold, buddy. You're going to heaven now. And he... I don't know.
Continued, it became obvious that John was happy for his legacy to be the guy who died trying to preach his religion to the tribe. Lord, let your will be done. If you want me to get actually shot or even killed with an arrow, then so be it. I think I could be more useful alive though, but to you, God, I give all the glory of whatever happens. I don't want to die. Would it be wiser to leave and let someone else continue? No, I don't think so. I still could make it back to the US somehow, as it almost seems like certain death to stay here. Yet there is evidence of change in just 2 encounters in a single day. We'll try again tomorrow. The following day,
so weird.
Wrote his final entry in the journal, beginning with, woke up after a fairly restless sleep, heading to island now. I hope this isn't my last notes, but if it is, to God be the glory, before going on to write a goodbye message to his family reading, Brian and Marilyn and mum and dad. You guys might think I'm crazy in all of this, but I think it's worth it to declare Jesus to these people. Please do not be angry at them or at God if I get killed. Rather, please live your lives in obedience to whatever he calls you to, and I'll see you again when you pass through the veil. Don't retrieve my body. I love you all, and I pray that none of you love anything in this world more than Jesus Christ. Written from the cove on the southwestish, more like west of North Sentinel Island, 16th of November 2018, 6:20 AM. In the days that followed, his family made a post to John's Instagram reading, we recently learned from an unconfirmed report that John Allen Chow...
What if he lied? What if he never really, what if he just got shot immediately by the arrow, and as he was kind of dying and he knew he was going to die, he made up this story about how he's protected and he was just going to go in and back in. I know I'm being harsh, okay? It's just, these religious people sometimes can be so...
was reported killed in India while reaching out to members of the Sentinelese tribe in the Andaman Islands. Words cannot express the sadness we have experienced about this report. He was a beloved son, brother, uncle, and best friend to us. To our others, he was a Christian missionary, a wilderness EMT, an international soccer coach, and a mountaineer. He loved God, life, helping those in need, and had nothing but love for the Sentinelese people. As a family, we ask for your understanding and respect for him and us during this time. Thank you, the Chow family. 3 months later, John's...
Bro, the crazy thing is that people harass the family, which is messed up. Because no matter what you think about religion, man, I would never condone harassing the family when they, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and have sympathy. It's like, well, you went there, you heard the stories, you had to have known. I don't know if you maybe thought some divine being was going to make it so it wouldn't go like all the other times. But, I'm not going to feel sympathy, but I'm also not going to harass the family, dude. Oh my God. The internet was such a mistake. I remember the people who were just like, they were like, they were laughing at it, which is one thing. But like to harass the family, come on, dude.
Father criticized religion for the death of his son, stating, "If you have anything positive to say about religion, I wish not to see or hear it. John is gone because the Western ideology overpowered my Confucian influence." He blamed evangelicals' extreme Christianity for pushing his child to a not unexpected end, which is a viewpoint often repeated across social media platforms. John Allen Chow is not a martyr, just a dumb American who thought that tribals needed Jesus, when the tribals already lived in harmony with God and nature for years without outside interference. Stupidity cannot be considered to be a martyrdom.
You see, it's just I don't know, man. It's like one of those situations where it's like you want to have some empathy and be like, hey, man, sucks what happened, but also at the same time, you religious people can get real, it's too much.